what's up guys? It's Harley here from Cycling Harley. Today I'm going to show you how to remove your crankset from the bike and then change the chain rings on it. Different types of chain rings, like sizing and things like that, is very personal. It just depends on really what terrain you're riding. The smaller the rings, obviously the quicker it turns and the lighter the gears are. So typically for mountain or hills, you would use a smaller lot of gears, and then if you're obviously on the flats and you're doing the bunch ride with your mates or what have you, you would go into slightly higher gears. So this is how you remove the crankset and change the chain rings.
So there's two pinch bolts, two Allen key pinch bolts either side of the crank arm, and you just want to use a 5mm Allen key just to loosen those off first. Then you have a split pin there. You have to make sure that's up, otherwise the crank arm won't come off. And then you're undoing the preload cap with a little $2 tool you can get off AliExpress. Just taking that out. And then it just slides right off. From the drive side, you take it out, so pushing it through. Sometimes you need a rubber mallet if it's a bit sticky or there's a bit of dirt or grime in there, but that came out relatively easily. Obviously needs a clean up. Now this is just a set from scratch, so undoing the pinch bolts as we did before. Take the crank arm off after undoing the split pin. Then you just got to undo, there's 4 bolts there which keep all the chain rings together. So you just want to go and loosen those off. Three separate bits, you've got the 2 chain rings and then the crank arm there. So now it's just giving it a bit of a clean. You can see the grease there has attracted all that dirt and grime where the actual arm is. So I've given it a clean up. The rings came off a wax chain, so if you don't wax your chain, you might want to degrease it all and just give it a full clean from scratch. Then it's just a matter of putting them back on. Now the way they go together is there's 2 ways, because you've got that way or that way. Now it's obviously not going to go that way because the holes don't line up, so it's got to be that way there. And then you've just got to make sure that because there's some writing on the chain ring where it has the actual gears and the logo, that's got to be on the opposite side of the crank arm. So it'll go upside down on the opposite side, and then the holes will just line up correctly. Holding it together because there's no bolts there. You can see that the arm's facing a different way from the actual logo. With the small chain ring, you'll see that there's some identifying numbers engraved into one side of the ring. Those identifying numbers have to be up, have to face upwards. You'll also notice that the drill holes there for the bolt holes have got a beveled edge, which is so the head of the bolt can actually sit flush with it. If they're upside down, the gears won't change properly. You've also got this small identifying notch. You can see that there on the inside where the thumb is. That there has to be on the crank arm. So that's how you know the orientation of it. So the small ring has to have the numbers facing upwards and that notch where the crank arm is. And it just sits there like that. Obviously there's no bolts in here at the moment, so I'm just holding it together. But what you want to do is just grab one of those and put it in just to sort of hold it all in place while you fix it all together. And now it's just a matter of doing these up, just finger tight, just nice and easy just to get them all in. and it's just a matter of torquing them up. It says between 8 to 10 Newton meters. I've just gone with 8 Newton meters. It's always a good idea to use a torque wrench just to get it how the factory wants it, how tight. So you don't over tighten, but also you don't, under tighten. So you want to re-grease everything that you've just cleaned. So new grease, that'll keep dirt and water out, hopefully. It will catch any dirt, but also make sure things don't seize up and stick together when you want to take them apart for the next time. Then just cleaning up any extra grease. It'll just attract dirt. Cleaning up the other arm. Just taking off all of the excess grease, the old stuff, and then re-greasing the splines on the non-drive side crank arm. And then you can see I've spilt a bit, so just give it a bit of a clean up again. Not only does it look better, but it won't attract extra dirt. It'll stick to that grease. So you put it back in from the drive side, and then just putting the crank arm on 180 degrees from the other arm, obviously. You want to just double check that. Yeah, so it just slides back on. You've got to make sure that pin's out, the split pin in the middle. Put the split pin back in, then tighten it up with the preload. Then just tightening up these finger tight on each side, and then torquing it up. And I've done 12 Newton meters on the crank arms. If the preload cap was too tight, they won't spin properly, so you just have to start again until they spin freely like this.
Well, thanks for watching this, guys. I hope you got something out of it. It gives you a bit of hope that you can do it yourself in the backyard. Please remember to like the video if you got something out of it. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.